Welcome to the Art of the Day presentation. This is from now on through the semester a regular presentation that you'll be getting every week. And this is where I show you the presentations put together by your peers. And so this week we are, of course, talking about drawing. And I've got three presentations for you that are about artists that draw. And watch this video, pay attention, and expect to see one or two or three questions in your weekly quiz regarding these Art of the Day drawing presentations. So let's start off with Fatima's presentation on Robert Longo. Robert Longo was born in January 7th, 1953 in Brooklyn, New York. Longo is well known for his bold drawings and sculptural works fusing pop culture and fine art. Longo attended the University of North Texas in Denton before deciding to study sculpture back in New York. He later received a BFA from SUNY Buffalo. BFA, that stands for Bachelor's of Fine Arts degree. So you're working on your associates and then you'll get your bachelor's degree. That's a BFA. Robert Longo is an American artist best known for his photorealistic drawings of jumping figures, sharks, tigers, and guns. Quote, "The most important thing about being an artist is to figure out where you're supposed to be and who's your audience," says Robert Longo. "Then you sort of catch your time. You have to know and understand the realm of high art and what the boundaries are." So Robert Longo is talking about perhaps he was dabbling in many different processes for making art, but he found something that stuck for him. And then he talks about having to navigate the art world after that. So it says here that this is an archival pigment print, which is probably true. But so a print is, like from a printer, and this is probably a reproduction of an actual charcoal drawing. So 45 1/4 inches tall. That is just less than 4 feet tall and just less than 3 feet wide. Leo is represented by the lion, and these spirited fire signs are the kings and queens of the celestial jungle. So a description of the lion. And again, this is not a print. This is let's look at this more of a drawing. So this is a charcoal drawing. I've actually seen this piece before. I've handled it. I used to work in an art museum, and I had many opportunities to install artwork, and this is a beautiful piece. So, Godzilla, I suppose the name of the wave, is a singular portrait of emotional and physical forces which drive the viewer to freeze in front of the power of nature in its ungraspable manifestations of pure and genuine lethal beauty. So, again, this is a charcoal drawing. The really rich dark darks and the white showing the white of the paper. It's really beautiful. Double Shark. The artist depicts two specular, menacing beasts with their mouths wide open and razor-sharp teeth pointing straight at the viewer. Course. Frank and Glenn from Men in the Cities. So Robert Longo did this series, of course, called Men in the Cities, and this is a print from that. So in a few weeks, we'll be talking about printmaking, and with printmaking, one of the processes is you draw onto a surface like a flat stone that you can then roll ink onto and make a bunch of prints or reproductions of it. So that's what this is. This would have been drawn by him onto that surface. Frank and Glenn from Men in the Cities, 1991, featuring the dynamic forms of two sharply dressed men pulling and pushing at one another, caught in a moment of amused roughhousing that is strikingly contrasted with their outward image. Outward image being their jackets and ties. Election Day 2016, but it's a 2017 drawing. Charcoal on mounted paper. So 152.4 by 109.9 centimeters. That is like 3, 4. So that's about 5 feet wide is the width of this drawing. So it's a pretty big drawing. I created this flag for Creative Times Pledges of Allegiance project based on a large-scale charcoal drawing I completed on the day of the most recent presidential election. The drawing, untitled November 8, 2016, consists of a left and right panel with 5 inches separating them, said Robert Longo. So there would have been another drawing pushed up against this one. Here's a drawing of the Fairmount Forest. The forest alludes to mystery and emotions that come from nature in itself without a presence of the human being. It's a beautiful drawing. Iceman 10. Another big one. And this is from the Men in Cities. Another lithograph. But again, a guy that looks like he's falling, but dressed real nice. And you remember this from the presentation. Russian bomb. Semipalatinsk. Robert Longo here explores an object of fascination and control by depicting the induced event, sublime and atrocious at once in minute detail. This is according to Fatima's notes here, it's not as big as I thought it was, but still a very detailed image. Then this is a drawing of, Saturn. Oh, wow. Okay, so this, what we're looking at, is something made out of bronze. So this is actually a metal sculpture that has been painted to look like it's fabric. That's beautiful. Bookcases. Oh, this is a beautiful chandelier. Fatima says, I like this artist's work because all of his art are black and each one of his work has a deep meaning. In addition, black is one of my favorite colors to see in artwork. I like his artwork because when I look at it, it shows me how much effort and hard work he put in on them. Another reason why I like his artwork is that every art has its own meaning and not everyone can understand their deep meaning. So there is lots of meaning to some of these. I totally agree. I mean, like, this exploding bomb looks like a nuclear bomb. The American flag on Election Day. It's pretty cool. This is a great presentation. Thank you, Fatima. All right, let's move on to our second presentation. Tim Plamper. This guy's really hot right now in the art world. Um, his work is pretty great. So let's see what Naomi has to say. Tim Plamper is a German artist born in 1982. He currently lives and works in Berlin. He studied fine arts at the Stuttgart State Academy of Art and Design as well as at the University of East London, 2003 to 2009. On the subject of Plamper's 2017 exhibition titled Zone, Domenico De Chirico's comments, in Tim Plamper's refined and meticulous drawings, nudity appears like a door that leads us to a room where beauty and cruelty are ineffably linked. The celebration of the marriage of life and death takes place in this room's shadowy corners. Here, almost every idealization and construction of the nude lets a hint of disorder and violence seep through. Dissociation, The Line of Time, 2016. Pencil on paper, 200 centimeters by 150 centimeters. So that is about 6 feet tall by 3 feet wide. So this is a large drawing, and we are in fact looking at a drawing. This is what I love about Tim Plamper's artwork, is that there are layers of different stuff going on. So this is a nude that the quote is talking about, but we've got like reflections or images overlaid on each other, just layers of stuff going on, all drawn with pencil. Dissociation 5, Volatile Virtues. Again, another large one. So that's about maybe 7 feet, 6 or 7 feet wide. Dissociation 3, Your Skin is My Skin. This is beautiful. I haven't seen some of these. Everybody happy? Wow, this is great. So we're looking at this white or grayish here. That's the tone of the paper. And of course the black is the pencil. And this area here that looks like an overexposed photograph or like an x-ray, that's all done with by not drawing anything. So it's in this, it's like what he doesn't draw that makes it interesting. Same with this. Everybody happy. Fragments of a scene. This is smaller than the other ones. Not that small, so that's shoot. I've got this math going on in my head. So that is about 1.5 feet wide, so 18 inches by, I don't know, 20 inches tall. These are beautiful drawings, but I mean, I guess I'm biased because I really like these drawings. This one's done in charcoal. The other ones are generally, this one's also charcoal. The other ones are generally pencil. I've not seen any of his charcoal drawings before. Wow. Awake for 7 days. My opinion. I personally do like Tim Plamper's work. I find the skill he demonstrates through his drawings to be quite impressive, since upon first glance I thought his drawings were actually photographs. However, I also think it is interesting and admirable how in many of his works he takes details of several completely separate objects, but still manages to make a cohesive piece that looks put together. I totally agree, and I love that very much. So, like this drawing here, we have a statue, looks like a negative, like or like an X-ray, and then you have this, I guess, the human figure or a woman's breast here, or this drawing where that looks like an animal bone. I don't know what that is, but just the layers of things. I'm super impressed by this artwork, by this artist. Um, so I am biased, but thank you very much, Naomi. Um, Great presentation. All right, Bethany Collins by Robert. Bethany Collins is another artist that's doing very well for herself right now. Um, let's see what Robert has to say. Collins is an American who was brought into this world in the year of 1984, also known as Collins was born in 1984, but got it. She worked in various universities from 2005 to 2012 when she received her MFA, that's a Master of Fine Arts degree, in drawing and painting under the School of Georgia at Georgia State University. Her work has always been driven with a focus of critical exploration of how race and language interact. All right, so this drawing, what we're looking at here are these very subtle drawings. Hopefully there's some that are more, that are closer up. But this is a series of pieces of paper that, where she would have, it says embossed Somerset paper. So to see this artwork, you'd have to get up close, and it's got a raised texture on it. Where the paper went through a press, and so there would be text or something that you would be able to touch with your fingers. My opinion, the organization and neatness of this piece screams likability. An opinion, the most comprehensive presentation of artist Bethany Collins' work to date. That would probably be about a show that she had. All right, American Hymnal 2017, book with 100 laser cut leaves. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, it looks like all of the notes here are laser cut into the book. My opinion, has a very historic presence which makes me feel enriched by simply looking upon it. An opinion, each rewriting in support of a passionately held cause from temperance to suffrage to abolition and even the Confederacy articulates a version of what it means to be American. So lots of Bethany Collins' works deal with slavery. She is I think, black slave descent, and sort of like women's rights. And so this hymnal, I'm not sure what it references, but there's a good chance it's probably referencing like a slave song hymnal. Untitled, Guilty Until Proven Innocent, charcoal on found paper. So I wonder what that charcoal is covering up. Maybe this was an advertise, or like maybe there's an image of a runaway slave, or maybe it's a book, probably a book. Louis Daniel Brodsky. but I wonder what's behind that charcoal. Impactful, a message presented up front with heavy thought naturally following. An opinion, simply language itself viewed as intrinsically racialized. So this is cool. I've seen this. I've seen works like this. Um, so this piece we're looking at, Where, 1982, was done in 2015. Graphite and toner on Somerset Radiant white paper. So there's a mix of graphite and toner, meaning some of it's been printed. I'm not sure what's been printed. Maybe the letters have, but if you look real closely here, it says his incessant criticism wore her patience. And it says it again right here. So one thing that Bethany Collins does is she goes in and she uses an eraser, and she erased a little bit of each letter on what would be a large printout of a book. And what was left untouched says his incessant criticism wore her patience. Subtle touch draws out the central focus in a very aesthetically pleasing way. This understanding of language as a site of political and historical struggle leads to works that foreground textual counter practices. Southern Review, 1985, special edition. That must be a book that it came from. Charcoal on paper, 64 elements. So these are pages of a book where she's sort of editing out portions of the book by drawing right on the paper. Stand away for complementary shapes and sequential format. Stand close to educate yourself. Lovely, I agree. It directs our awareness to the substructures underpinning the terms and definitions that 21st century audiences use. So let's see if we can get. This is what embossed paper looks like. So when you stand back, you see white paper, but then up close, you might see shadows from the texture of the paper. So this is like it's gone through a press, and the paper has a texture to it. May 2nd, 1963. That must be the page of the newspaper from, looks like the Birmingham News. It seems subtly is where Collins thrives. Just another example. Collins' knack for nuance promises to yield thought-provoking results. And I would say this is very subtle and nuanced. This is hard to see, not a very good quality image. Let's see. Bethany Collins, Leave Us No More, The Star-Spangled Banner, 2019. Charcoal and acrylic on wood panel, 48 by 72 by 2 inches, courtesy of the artist and patron gallery. Photo credit, Jessica Bingham. All right, so Patron Gallery is a gallery here in Chicago, and that is the gallery that represents her. And I've seen her work. That's where I first encountered Bethany Collins, was while visiting that gallery in Chicago. Dark, broody, and sets a deep tone to leave you exploring your inner mind for thoughts to interpret it. A creative act of destruction and additive subtraction, as artist Jasper Johns once described. These are more of those embossed papers, but they're all sort of torn apart. Material fact, January 28th to March 26th, 2017. Gives off an enchanting feeling, almost as if I am summoning the torn pages of history around me. Awesome. Offers insight into her unique practice, conceptually driven work, which struggles insistently with the duality of language, its potential, and its inevitable failure to make sense. Thy name I love, my country 'tis of thee. Chalk, charcoal, and acrylic on panel. A blissful visual puts me at peace with my simple gaze upon its masterful craft. Very poetic, thank you. Collins has explored personal, bureaucratic, and lyrical language, for sure. I, Bethany Collins, she's doing two different things now. You know, she's got these sort of painting, drawing things that we're looking at, which seems lighter, it feels lighter. And she's probably doing that because dealing with these newspapers and texts about racism, stuff like that, is probably really weighing on her. So she's doing two things I find interesting. And another one like that. I am for you. You are a grand old flag. Charcoal and latex paint on panel. Collins has a very minimalistic style, but there is not much difference from this in the last piece other than color. I agree. I don't love these pieces, but I think that it's important to do multiple things that pull different emotions from you. As ordinary as language may seem, it is complex and therefore deserves artistic examination and dedication. Closing statements. Ooh, favorite piece. I think this is a really nice one, and this is new to me. I haven't seen this one. Ultimately, to conclude, Bethany Collins is a fantastic artist that utilizes minimalist values and techniques, such as drawing from archives, to create pieces that bring forth a subtle touch to each of her compositions. In her world of art, language is the focal point for exploring any type of topic for which she exemplifies said idea into each of her art pieces. Collins is a type of artist that delivers a hard-hitting message with little effort. I agree. The end. All right. Nice. You got your sources on here. Great. All right. So thank you, Robert. If you haven't watched the lecture on drawing, go ahead and do that now. And don't forget to take the quiz and to do your Instagram post.